Hello and welcome to the Magic Mirror Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Khan the Trinket Mage, and with me is my co-host, 33 Elk.
Hello.
Additionally, we have our other co-host today, Salubrious Snail.
Hello.
And we are talking about underplayed or underrated commanders for certain archetypes. Basically, we're going to present a popular commander that does a thing and suggest an alternative commander for you to try out that is maybe a little underplayed. And also, the new salt scores are up for EDH Rec, so we're going to talk a little bit about what are the new saltiest cards and discuss the changes to the salt score ratings. And then lastly, if we got some time, we will go and answer some questions from you guys. All of that after I tell you about today's sponsor, Card Castle, the easy way to sort your collection digitally. You can start scanning and sorting your cards today for free by making an account and using our link below. And if you want to scan cards faster using their card sorting robot, click the link below to see if your game store has one. Thanks to Card Castle for sponsoring the podcast. This podcast is also sponsored by Laughing Dragon, and we want to tell you about LDXP Tacoma, which is from October 31st to November 2nd. This is Laughing Dragon's Command Fest. It's going to be huge this year. 3 days of Magic the Gathering, Riftbound, Flesh and Blood, Disney Lorcana, Warhammer 40k, and more. Yusuf, throw all those on screen. That's a lot of different games. It's going to be super exciting, lots of fun. Halloween weekend as well. If you want to see Alex, who will be at the event wearing his spooky Halloween costume, click the link below to check it out. Thanks to Laughing Dragon for sponsoring the podcast.
Have you decided you're going to be there, Elk?
Tacoma?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's quite a bit of money to be spending on a thingy.
I get that.
I need to buy 2 new commander decks.
This is fair. This is fair.
All right, let's talk salt scores. So I guess, really briefly, there's a website called EDH Rec, and what they do is they aggregate data from different websites about commander decks, and they give you recommendations. EDH recommendations, that's the website. And every year they do a little survey where they will present you with a random card, and then you rate it on a scale of 0 to 4 on how salty the card makes you feel. 0 meaning, it's a basic mountain, you're not very salty about it. 4 meaning it makes you very upsetty spaghetti. And then they average those, and then they put out a list of the top 100, and they've been doing this since 2019, so I have a little bit of data to compare it to, which I think is pretty interesting. And the results for this year are up. And for the most part, the cards Stasis and Winter Orb both kind of dominate these lists. I think they're the top 2 for almost every year. I think that they've been doing this, right?
Yeah, Stasis is the only one that has broken 3 points on the salt score, generally, too.
Yeah, in 2023, Winter Orb was slightly higher or tied, basically, But, Stasis and Winter Orb are basically considered to be the saltiest cards. But this year, there's a new card that jumped all the way to the number 3 spot. And that card is Beevuu Orniteer.
Yeah, it does a lot.
Something I've kind of noticed about commanders and salt scores is that power plays a big role in it, but it's not the only role. Is typically power plus kind of how played something is. So in effect, if something is staying in its lane, then it's fine. If a commander is powerful, but it's not, getting played against a bunch of, less powerful decks typically, I think it tends to be fine. Whereas if a card is seen as straying out of its lane, then it tends to end up higher salt score. That's my hypothesis here. I'm guessing that a lot of players have had the pub stomper VV experience. That's my guess.
I feel like you're kind of vindicated in that too, Alex, because Tergrid jumped up 4 spots to number 4, and Rhystic Study jumped 8 spots up to number 5. And Tergrid and Rhystic Study both are game changers, but they're not restricted in bracket 3, right? You are still allowed to play them, unlike Winter Orb and Stasis, which I guess does kind of hamper the point a little bit, because Stasis and Winter Orb still score higher, even though they're MLD technically. And so that's a little bit of a detraction. But the point is that I feel like game changerification is sort of a stamp of approval. I noticed something weird is whenever a card became a game changer, its price increased because people would go, oh, this is on the broken cards list, and therefore I can put in my deck to make it better.
Yeah.
I think Game Changers made people play Rhystic Study and Turgid more is what I mean.
Yeah, I think there are some cards that just aren't on people's radar either. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of kind of mana denial that people just don't clock that much.
What's the one that destroys any land that gets tapped? It's not a game changer.
Worst Toll, but it's off
No,
of your turn.
Desertion? Not
Okay.
Desertion. That's a counterspell, right?
Desertion is a counterspell, yeah, because it lets you steal a creature that you counter. Are you thinking of Storm Cauldron that like bounces it back to your hand?
No, it's an enchantment that destroys lands, and if it's a plains, it does damage to them.
Oh, it's like an old ass color hate card, dude. We're back at like Stronghold or something. Yeah. I'm not even my mental library goes back that far.
I have to find it now. I'm on Skyfall. It's bothering me. You can continue with it. I found it. Desolation, not Desertion. Black 1 enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, a player who tapped land 4 mana this turn sacrifices a land.
Oh, yeah.
And then they take 2 damage for everyone who sacrificed a plains this way. It is not mass land destruction, so it's not bracket 4 jail. It is not a game changer. Nobody knows what this card is.
Yeah.
Classes or
Well, that and Storm Cauldron both have like 1.5 assault score.
Yeah, so I guess it's a little higher on the salt score.
Yeah, people are still being presented with it and they know it denies lands in some way.
I think a better illustration of how brackets have kind of impacted salt scores, though, is that Thassa's Oracle fell from 6th place to 10th place, which is definitely indicative of like there's no fast combos in bracket 3, and that's what typically most people play. Also, bracket 2, you can't play Thoracle at all unless like you rule 0 it, basically. So, you know, these rule 0 conversation tools are really pushing Thoracle out of the CEDH, or pushing out Thassa's Oracle only into CEDH, where it is more actively answered, right?
Yeah, and Thassa's Oracle is honestly one that surprised me as being so salty in the first place, because like it's just a win con, man. The EDH is full of those. EDH is full of combos. Is this really, have people really gotten burned by this that much? Maybe they have.
Yeah, especially at lower brackets. In CEDH, you know, it's just kind of the meta a little bit because it's just the fastest combo you can be doing.
It is uninteractable, yeah.
It's, I guess, uninteractable compared to Labman.
You have people running Mikokoro, right? Center of the Sea, to like activate it to have everyone draw a card. So that way you can like stop people from decking themselves completely and then winning with Thoracle. So it definitely matters in CEDH. But yeah, lower brackets aren't facing a Thoracle problem anymore because you just can't Thoracle people because it's not within the rule 0 bucket that you're playing in, right?
Right.
I think it's kind of interesting now to talk about the new saltiest cards that are on the list.
Yeah.
A lot of Universes Beyond going on.
Yeah, so I was going to say, you know, for Vivi, I feel like part of it that's pushing it there is that, so one thing is Deadpool is jumped up to 1.9. It's above Mana Drain, Blightsteel Colossus, you know? Deadpool is, don't get me wrong, a powerful Magic the Gathering card. It is great. It is seeing CDH play. It's a very good card. But like, it's basically like a removal spell plus a clone on a body. It's not like that crazy, you know?
Yeah, no, I have a feeling that if we got Deadpool in like a Commander Masters product and it was like Beevuu, funny trickster guy, like that was its name, and we had different art that was in universe, it wouldn't be even on the salt score list.
I think so too.
I feel a little bit vindicated because in that fact, because Soulstone's number 5, and this card is like fine.
It is indestructible. So I think that's probably part of it. I know I get a little sick of just indestructible thrown on things just because it's, you know, some important card like this and One Ring. But
yeah, but this isn't One Ring, you know?
No, it's a much more fair card. And the fact that it has a black in the mana cost definitely makes it pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's 2 mana for what will be an Arcane Signet, like I would guess 90% of games. And then in the 10% of games where you get to harness the stone for 7 mana and exiling a creature you control at the beginning of your upkeep. So you have to untap with it again after harnessing it. You then get to reanimate a creature. And then you maybe do that 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 if it's a very long game, right? Like this is just not salt material.
Yeah, it's a nice grindy piece, but like, you know,
yeah,
whatever. What I find really fascinating, number 10 here is Cosmic Spider-Man.
Yes, Slopperman is number 10. I was not expecting that at all.
I feel like that cannot be due to like the text of the card because it's just not a problematic card. It's gotta be like some sort of backlash.
I think it's players just hate the card. It's like also like right above that, saltier than Cosmic Spider-Man is Knuckles. Knuckles is like a reasonably powerful card, but like, I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, Knuckles is at least like,
It's professional Facebreaker too. Like, I mean, it's
Yeah, exactly.
and professional Facebreaker isn't up here, you know.
Yeah, and it's mono red, so if this is in your command zone, it's definitely not that scary. You're pretty restricted, but people don't like the card.
What absolutely sends me is Grievous Wound at number 15. That one is hilarious. I love that card so much, and seeing it up here on the salt list is just like, people don't know how to have fun.
I get it though. That one makes sense. Because you Grievous Wound someone, you thermonuclear bomb them because they just lose instantly. And then somebody casts a board wipe and the game goes on another 40 minutes and that person sits out.
Yeah, take this up with every Voltron player on the planet, you know? It's
Look,
like
I'm not saying it's justified, but like I get why that's the thing.
I understand why too. And also salt scores are just like super brainless voting, right? Like you just get served one card after the other. So of course people are going to be Grievous Wound and go, this card seems annoying, and then vote on it. I love that card. Also, Doomsday Excruciator's on the list, and I love that card too. There's a lot of cards I just love on this list. So maybe I'm just a bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we should note that salt score doesn't necessarily mean how much people like it. Like I could easily, rank a card a salt score of a 1 or 2. I did a bunch of salt score rankings just for fun. I do every year. And there are a lot of times where I'm like, I love this card. It's a 2 on the salt score for sure, but I love this card because like they're different metrics, a card can be infuriating and also a lovely design that I want to play with a lot.
All right. Do we have anything else to say about the salt score?
I guess I do want to talk about what you mentioned before we started recording, which was the saltiest sets on average. And I think that's super interesting that it is Jurassic World, Transformers, and Secret Lair are the 3 saltiest sets.
I think it has to do with like exclusivity, right? Like it's hard to get these cards. So when they print a powerful card that's in a Secret Lair, well, it's really easy to get any of these cards so long as they're not tournament legal, but getting the actual versions, like God, if you want to talk about Secret Lair, the day we're recording this, the October Secret Lair drop happened. And literally the Kieran Yanner Demonic Tutor Secret Lair sold out in 3 seconds. It sold out in 3 seconds, and like no one's happy with limited releases. I think Aaron Hansen also actually tweeted about this too. It was just like, I am done with Secret Lair. So for me, Secret Lair Salt is mostly, I think, FOMO. A justified FOMO, by the way. That isn't me criticizing the consumer. Fuck this like weird, limited run printing of Secret Lairs. But I think with Transformers and Jurassic World, I think all you need is one bad apple because these sets are so tiny. So Slicer's probably like a 3-ish. It's like 2 to 3 on the salt scale for Transformers, right? Voted around there. And then Transformers is such a small set that all it needs is Slicer.
Well, I also have to wonder how much of this is just people looking at like a mechanic they dislike or an art style they dislike and going, ugh, and then selecting some high salt score. Because I have to imagine that plays a role with the Secret Lair. People see some, SpongeBob thing or some, My Little Pony thing or something, and they're like, ugh, why is this in my game? And then that contributes to it, right?
Yeah, that could be like a...
Well, for Secret Lair, I assume it would be, it's only the exclusive stuff. Right, like the SpongeBob one wouldn't show up for Secret Lair. That's Joda. I think that's why am I wrong? I think that's how the voting works.
I'm not sure. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I definitely see Alex's point that like, there could just be like, even for Transformers, it's just like, I see a Transformer card. I'm like, oh, this is annoying. 2, next. This voting is like pretty brainless. So like, I can see how that can be like a metric that like, will put off voting the metric somewhat.
Putting the 2 side by side, because I literally just pulled them up. I think it's really interesting, the like price difference. So like in terms of like not the alternative art, Slicer is the most expensive card from the Transformers one, and he is $6 for the regular printing, and the alternate art is like $30. So that's the most expensive Transformer one. The most expensive Jurassic World one is $44 for the normal printing and like $400 for the ampersand special one. And I wonder how much that is to do with like how easy it is for people to reprint, for WotC to reprint these cards. And if that, I assume that factors into the price somehow, because Hasbro can print the Transformers as many times as they want because they already own the IP. And it's kind of interesting to see like the availability. Most of these Transformers are like $1 cards. You can get them for like really cheap, or maybe they're a couple bucks. like 2 to 3. But like all of the other ones are way more expensive, like significantly, like $10 plus for a lot of these.
I just looked up a couple Transformers cards, and the funny thing is, Slicer doesn't even have a high salt score. Prowl Stoic Strategist, that commonly known card, has a higher salt score than Slicer does. And it has like...
Is that real? What the hell does Prowler do?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it can't be related to the mechanics. Prowl has more text on it. I feel like that has to be part of it. Right?
Did they see a Transformers card and they're like, that's a lot of words. Whereas like maybe they see Slicer and they're like, oh, double strike. Damn, that's cool.
It is also a police car on the back.
Oh, so, no, wait, base. No, this one's more than meets the eye, you know?
I didn't even think about that. Damn.
There are layers to the dislike of this card.
Wizards definitely got it right that the police car is mono white, though.
True.
I think the designs for a lot of these Transformer cards are pretty sweet. Just as an aside, I think Soundwave and Ratchet and Slicer are pretty sweet commanders.
Oh yeah, I love Starscream, the Monarch card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the commanders. I find the mechanic Living Metal a little weird and cringe, but I think, aside from that,
the mechanics are a bit ham-fisted. I will agree in terms of their theming.
It's like a vehicle, but you don't want it to be a vehicle. Like, why bother?
I will never forgive them.
Why not just make it an artifact creature, which is already an existing thing?
It's like when they made the motorcycling like Doctor Companion be like a cycling commander.
That's funny though. Come on.
I mean, it's a little funny.
I love a good pun. Anyway, are we done with salt scores? Do we want to talk about the other topic we have?
All right, I wanna start off here. I have an example of a commander that I think is hella overplayed. And I think there's so many cool commanders for this deck specifically, and they're very much underused. All right, everybody knows Krenko Mob Boss. Oh, it's the funny goblin guy. He taps to make goblins. Ha ha ha. Most popular red commander of all time. But here's the thing. There are so many legendary goblins. There's so many other cool, fun, interesting ones. And I want to talk about my favorite one, and that is Ib, Half-Heart Goblin Tactician. So this is a really, I think, flavorful goblin commander. It is red and 3 for a 3/2 goblin advisor. Whenever another goblin you control becomes blocked, sacrifice it. And if you do, deal 4 damage to each creature blocking it. You can also sacrifice 2 mountains to put 2 1/1 goblins onto the battlefield. Ib is really cool. I think this is a super fun commander. So goblins already go wide. It's one thing that they're very good at. And Krenko just amplifies that. You just go even wider and then you just get like eaten by a board wipe. Ib is kind of interesting. Once you already go wide, you can cast Ib and swing in with your team, and then your goblins are way more annoying to block because they explode and then deal 4 damage instead, which kind of is like you gave them an extra 3 power if you think about it. And there's all sorts of other fun things you can do. This is a way to sacrifice your goblins. You can kind of lean into the sacrificing goblins or sacrificing lands kind of effects. There's a few other like goofy things because it does 4 damage to each creature blocking it. You can play any type of like lure effect that forces people to block. And then if you put a Basilisk Collar and a lure on your goblin and then they're forced to block it, it blows up their whole board and you gain a bunch of life. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's just a fun goblin commander that I don't see enough of. And it's actually good. Like, this isn't a jank bad option. I think this is legitimately a good commander.
So I think Ib is funny, and it's kind of good, but I think I kind of disagree with your analysis on Krenko. I think if we were talking about 60 card formats with one singular 20 health opponent, I would 100% agree. Krenko is way overkill for that kind of magic. But for Commander, you need to go wider. A board of 6 goblins doesn't do shit. So like, you kind of need that extra amplification. Now, this is not to say that I don't think Ib could work, and I think it's kind of a fun toolbox of abilities. But I think the fact is, if your deck doesn't produce enough goblins on its own, or if it can't get out enough mountains that you're willing to sacrifice a bunch of them, I think Ib becomes a much more challenging proposition to make work.
Yeah, but making goblins is easy. It's not that hard to make a wide board of goblins without Krenko.
You can make a kind of wide board.
If we want to talk about like Krenko and what Krenko does, a lot of people build Krenko as like impact tremor the deck instead of goblin the deck, honestly.
I mean, that basically gives you 1/1's haste, right? Because they just deal the damage instantly.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm going to argue that like Zerzoth is just way better at doing that because those devils enter, they ping everyone, they die, they ping everyone. You sack them to Goblin Bombardment, you get another ping there, right? Like there's a lot of triggering happening with Zerzoth. And you know how Roaming Thrones in like every creature type matters deck, right?
Yeah.
Zerzoth is the Roaming Throne deck. He is just the best one at using it because Zerzoth has a trigger that makes a devil whenever an opponent draws their first card while it isn't their turn. And then those tokens that he makes have triggers and they're the same creature type. So he gets to double dip on Roaming Thrones. So like you're attacking Krenko on the Goblin angle. I'm arguing that I think it's a lot more egregious on the token impact tremor game plan angle where just like Zerzoth mogs this dude hard.
I also think Krenko has a reputation and it's very easy to bring him to a play group and then get like focused really hard. One of the benefits of playing something like Ib is I don't think anybody's seen this commander in like 85 years. And you're probably going to dodge a little bit of spot removal.
I do want to move on a little bit talking about another creature type commander I typically see.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I want to meet these people's parents because they were not raised right. I want a Mardu Angels commander that isn't Kalia, right? Like this is something I love because I like white-black angels. I like white-red angels, right? They both get really cool angels in those colors. There are people that build Mardu Angels with Teriel Reckoner of Souls. This like 7 mana 4/7 angel with flying and vigilance who can tap and then get a creature from randomly from an opponent's graveyard back into play for you. And this does nothing for angels besides have Eminence, your Path of Ancestry scries one when you cast an angel.
Yeah, but Teriel's cool.
Teriel's cool. No, I'm not saying anything contrary to the matter. However, Angels is the most popular subtype this has. Like, it's the most popular build direction.
It feels a little old school in the sense that I think back in the day, it was pretty common for you would build a commander deck around a type or, you know, maybe around a theme, and then you would just like throw like a cool guy at the front of it. And it might not have that much synergy, but it does have, you know, I got my cool guy, I got my deck behind it.
He has the type.
Yeah. You know, I think there's something I can appreciate about this. And I know I've seen what happens when Wizards of the Coast gets the idea that they really need to print card with a shitload of colors that unites a creature type around a powerful commander. Like, it just doesn't turn out well. It just doesn't turn out enjoyable.
Elk, are you saying that Teriel players should build Kalia or?
Honestly, I like 3 mana Kalia a lot. The one from the core set as an
Zenith
Angels
Seeker?
commander. Yeah, Zenith Seeker. That's a cool Angels commander because it's not glass cannon-y like huge Kalia is. And a lot of these angels are Restoration Angel type abilities, right? There's 2 other Restos beyond the first one. And then you can flicker the Kalia and dig deeper using Restos, which is hilarious. Yeah, no, for me, it's just like, damn. Teriel's just ass, dude. Like, can we do any better, Angels friends? Like, come on.
I wanted to put Teriel at the helm of just like a Drago control list as just like my top end. Like late game, couple board wipes have been cast. I've used some removal, and I'm just gonna yoink your threats one at a time.
Oh yeah, no, I've been brewing around Teriel for so long, but it involved 0% like making her angels matter,
Yeah.
you know?
Alex, do you have an overplayed commander you want to talk about?
I made a video about Kalia just because I find it interesting that it was like from the first commander set, and it's an example of a commander that is popular because it looks extremely flashy. I mean, it is extremely flashy, but also it kind of, you know, baits you in the sense that you pick it, and then if you kind of don't construct a really well built deck out of it, a lot of times you'll just end up getting your Kalia removed and not doing a whole lot. You know, the average Kalia deck runs like 36 lands and 10 pieces of ramp, which means, you know, you're not going to consistently get up to your 8 mana cards without Kalia. So
I actually talked about the Kalia precon in my precon video where I was just yapping about precon design, and Kalia was at one of the major precons where I was just like utterly tearing it apart. That precon is so bad. It's so funny.
Yeah, I was looking at that precon. I mostly didn't talk about the precon in the video because I wanted to make a video complaining about a precon from 2011. You know, there's a lot of really, really terrible cards in that deck. Like the Orzhov Guild Mage.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Guild Mage ended up.
In my video, I was astonished. I was like, wow, this is just beautiful. I was more amazed than anything. Teriel's in the Kalia precon, And what does Teriel do for you when you cheat her out on turn 5? Like worst case scenario in the precon, let's say.
It lets you get back like a 1-drop that someone sacrificed.
Yeah, you steal someone's Llanowar elves or like, Stitcher supplier, and it really doesn't do a whole lot for you at all, really.
Hey, look, it's a better thing to cheat out than like a 4-mana demon that says black creatures can't block. Or
Yeah, there's so many bad top enders in that deck. Dude, vampiric dragons in that deck, right? It's like this like 8-mana 5/5 that can pay 1 and a red to ping something. Oh my god. And that's not even the worst one.
You know what's kind of funny is Kalia is the second most popular Mardu commander. First, set designed around commanders, etc., etc. And then Edgar Markov is the most popular Mardu commander and has a actually pretty high salt score as well to tie it back in. And that's the opposite, where you can't not make a good Edgar deck, right? It's the opposite of a glass cannon. It's ultra consistent. So consistent, it's uninteractable.
Ugh.
I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
What's great if you skip Ishid at number 3, Mr. House and Caesar are also designed for Mardu. Queen Marchesa, Zergo. Dude, these are all just precon commanders at the top.
It is so... I bet we can do this for any 3-color combination, right? A lot of the top commanders are going to be the precon ones. If we go to Grixis, right, it's Sauron the Dark Lord, the 6-mana one from the precon, right?
That's not from the precon. That's from main set.
Oh, is that from the main set? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
It was designed for commander. Let's be real.
Yeah, and then the Nekusar. Okay, great.
And then
Obeka. But
Obeka's main set, and then it's like, I guess these are main set cards.
Yeah, no, it's what's wrong with Mardu, dude? Like, what the hell's happening?
Is this true for other colors? Let me go to
Kaikar's number 2 for Jeskai. That was main set, and it's just like Narset's number 5.
Esper has Y'shtola, which is from the precon, and then Hashatan, which is precon, Aloro precon, Sidar precon, Urza precon, Alalia precon, Marnius precon, and then Zur.
We did it. And then it's immediately back into 3 more precon commanders.
I guess the case with a lot of 3-color pairings.
This is an interesting video essay for one of us to make at some point.
Yep.
Wait, Alex, back on the main topic, whatever we're doing in this podcast. Alex, do you want to talk about an overplayed commander and then suggest an alternative?
I feel like a lot of commanders I see just like dictate too much about a deck and remove a lot of the actual brewing of it. Like they just have too many lines of text on them is my critique. That's a good specific example of that.
Dude, even Kolain has too many lines of text.
What card?
Chulain, Teller of Tales.
I mean, but the last line of text doesn't really do anything, right? What is Chulain?
Well, the last line of text is like, in case you ran out of creatures to cast, you can bounce a creature to cast to keep chaining through your deck.
Kolain was meant to be an adventures commander that's meant to recast adventures.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I remember that it was an activated ability that did something that didn't seem very useful. That's all that I remembered about it. The second line of text.
Even less people might not realize it has vigilance, so you could attack with your 2/4 and still tap to bounce a creature.
Oh my god. No, I entirely agree though. Do you have any like specific examples though of like word overload cards that just like do everything for your deck?
I think Sauron the Dark Lord is probably an example of that. Like it just, it makes a bunch of guys. It has ring tempt you, and then you get to draw more cards afterward. Like it's kind of a blank slate in that the resources it gives you are relatively generic, but there's just like too many words on the card, and it like dictates too many things about your deck. So I think it's a lot more interesting to have a commander that just like gives you something simpler.
Yeah, I agree. Sauron, it's just like it protects itself, so you don't need to find protection in your deck. It also, when it's a Punisher card, when your opponent casts a spell, you like amass orcs. So it like dissuades people from casting many spells. And then it also, does rings tempts and then draws cards. Like drawing 4, that's crazy. That's a lot of cards.
Sticking with Grixis, I hate Wick, the World Mind.
That's a good one. Yeah, because it just does exactly one thing, and you kind of have to focus heavily on it.
I have another example, and that is in Izzet colors. So Izzet colors, a lot of commanders kind of like center on a few things, but I want to talk about artifact commanders specifically. So the 2 most popular Izzet artifact commanders is Iron Man and Joyra. Iron Man is like a birthing pod for artifacts, and Joyra is just when you play an artifact, you draw a card. It's when you play a historic spell, but people play it as an artifact commander. And I think it's so sad that these two overshadow the other really cool artifact commanders, especially in these colors, because oh my god, there's so many great ones. I mean, my personal favorite is Tawanos, which doubles the triggered or activated abilities of artifacts, which is something unique. Like other commanders don't do that. And, you know, going like, I'm going to activate Chaos Wand and copy it. It's just really funny. But other ones that I think are like really sweet, because I've talked about the commander a lot, was it Breaches? The Blast Maker is really interesting.
Yeah.
It is a 3 mana 3/3 with Menace. When you cast your second spell each turn, you may sack an artifact. If you do, flip a coin. If you win the flip, you get to copy it, then choose new targets for the thing that you copy. And if you lose it, you take damage equal to the mana value, or you deal damage equal to the mana value to any target. It's like you want to cast 2 spells in a turn. You want the second one to be big. So copying it is like high value. And then also if it sacrifices, it deals a lot of damage to things. I think this commander is really cool. There's 71 decks on EDHREC with the artifact theme. That's crazy.
To be fair, the EDHREC themes aren't all that typically accurate in my experience.
Sure. I mean, there's not that many decks for him in general. Hang on, let me.
For sure. Yeah. I feel the same way about Sithis and enchantments. Like there are extremely cool green-white enchantment commanders like Yenna and Calyx. And yet, you know, Sithis is just like the 2 mana enchantress one. So like you just run that and spray enchantments everywhere, and that's the game plan. And it feels like a little bit of a disappointment from what the archetype could be.
Real quick, what was the card that you suggested as the alternative commander?
So I like Calyx is a good alternative if you want like a strong commander, and then Yenna is like a somewhat weaker one, but still kind of cool. It's like a
Red Tooth Regent.
Yes, Red Tooth Regent. It's like an enchantment copying commander. You like tap it, pay 2 to copy an enchantment you control, but the copy is legendary, so you can't like copy the same thing multiple times.
Ah.
Except it isn't legendary.
For me, my major gripe is a lot of lands gamers. I picked Kura the Boundless Sky to be my lands deck, but a lot of lands gamers are typically on like a Zusa, right? Or like doing like landfall stuff, what have you. Versus like Kura, which enables a lot more of like a true land strategy as opposed to like a landfall strategy, like literally the like other 10 lands commanders in a row on mono green before you get to Kura. Because Kura lets you tutor for 3 lands. So you basically run Dark Depths as your commander in that deck, right? Versus like landfall, I'm just going to do the landfall things of like, I have Scoot Swarms and etc., right?
And Kira even works for that. Like if you want to do landfall stuff, you can use your commander to grab Field of the Dead and then still do landfall stuff. It's not even like exclusive to not landfall. You have the option to do different things.
I swear to God, Kira is the most broken thing to Natural Order or Eldritch Evolution away, because you just go and grab Cultivator Colossus and then you resolve the death trigger first and then Cultivator Colossus is in play.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, Kura's definitely one where the fact that it gives you 3 tutors is, I think, pretty easy to overlook, but very, very big as a factor. So
yeah, people see put it in hand and they're like, this card's stupid. It's bad. It's not. It's very good. In fact, Boseiju wants to be in your hand. Thank you very much.
You get to play 7 lands per turn.
Exactly.
Sticking with green as a theme, I know Kona got really popular, but I feel like there are much more interesting creature cheat commanders. One of which is, I don't know if you consider this a creature cheat commander, but I love the design. It's a Lord of the Rings commander, Círdan the Shipwright. That one is Secret Council. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, each player secretly votes for a player. Then those votes are revealed. Each player draws a card for each vote they received. Each player who received no votes may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. I feel like that's a good option for somebody who just wants to play a slightly goofier version of that. And
this card is crazy if you are a person who likes to yap. If you love politicking, I've played against this like really early on. I think it was at Command Fest Anaheim when the set like came out and someone like pre-built a deck for it and like bought the single. And they were like yapping the whole time. They're like, all right, you should vote for this, but and they, you know, if you can win the politics war, you can do some obscene things in this. Like there's some crazy stuff that can happen if you can politics it. If you're playing like telepathy, so you can see other players' hands, like, oh my goodness, this card is funny. This card's so funny.
High charisma score to pilot this.
Yes. You can also cast it and then just remain silent and refuse to elaborate any further. That's funny too.
The issue is just like, You can just have this be when this enters, everyone draws a card, right? With the right person at the table, it just goes like, everyone just vote for the player to your left. No one gets to cheat anything. We all just draw a card. It just becomes the worst commander on earth, but it's still very funny.
But you could play Illusion of Choice. So you can like put that under an Isochron Scepter, and then you get to pick how everybody votes, and then you're going ballistic.
Illusion of Choice, Secret Commander.
Oh my goodness, you Illusion of Choice under an Isochron, and then every turn you're just like blinking your commander or whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna put big Simic card into play.
Next turn you draw like a billion cards. Sure, you get to cheat some stuff into play, whatever.
The idea of using Isochron Scepter on Illusion of Choice is so funny to me. Like, of all the things you can do with an Isochron Scepter, you've chosen somehow the least broken one.
Look, it's funny though.
It is. It's hilarious.
It's like moments like these where I wish Tivit wasn't so broken and was just like a stupid voting commander.
An actual voting commander.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a commander that I think is like really underexplored and fits a lot more archetypes or themes that players might not realize. And that is Infinite Guideline Station. I think this card's really interesting. So it is kind of a generic value piece. I guess I'll read it. It is Wooburg for a spacecraft. When it enters, you make a tapped 2/2 colorless robot equal to the number of multicolored permanents you control. And then you can station it for 12 plus. Gains flying and becomes a 7/15, which is big stats. But when it attacks, you then draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. I think this card's kind of neat for if you want to splash colors into a theme or deck archetype that doesn't normally have the colors. So the other day, somebody in a different Discord I'm in was saying, oh, I want to build 5-color dinosaurs. And they were thinking about Morophon. And I actually suggested this because a lot of dinosaurs are multicolored. And then this just draws cards. And you can crew it very easily or station it easily because dinosaurs are big. And then it's just kind of like, it works with a lot of other themes. I don't know. You can go 5-color Enchantress. You can do a lot of weird stuff with this that I think a lot of people haven't thought about yet.
Yeah, on my weekly deck review streams, I got an Infinite Guideline Station deck, and it was exactly that. It was charge counters, like charge counter combos, but instead of building Technothal like I did, what they did is they just went 5 colors with this card, and they ran Leyline of the Guild Pact, and then all the little guys they put into play are multicolored permanents.
Ooh, wow.
And then you attack with the Infinite Guideline Station, and you draw 2x, where X is the number, right? Because you had all the permanents in play already. And then also all the little guys that are now multicolored that also crew the Guideline Station very easily. And then you draw a bunch of cards, and then you start piecing together your like disgusting charge counter engines. And then also, of course, you've just loaded up an artifact on board with a load of charge counters to just move around.
Yeah, it's like
now.
Soar's charge counters pretty well, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a big battery.
I want to see more charge counters. We gotta go deeper on this.
Yes.
No, don't give me no. If you print more charge counters, I'm gonna regret taking apart Technothal. I'm gonna have to rebuild him.
Yeah, this commander can be kind of like 5-color soup value or whatever, but there's ways to build it that I think if you want to build a theme and stretch it to 5 colors, this is like a reasonable commander for that.
I hate it a lot less than other 5-color commanders. Like it does feel like it has,
apparently everyone hates it less than Slopper Man, according to the earlier Salt Store conversation.
I believe that. I like that it kind of discourages you from running a bunch of monocolored creatures, because I feel like that tends to be a lot of the most powerful creatures is just like these monocolored guys that have good text kind of printed for 60 card formats. And this feels like a nice break from that.
I like that a lot of the problem with like the 4 or 5 color soup decks is they play the same monocolored cards like Rhystic Study, Smothering Tithe. But both of those are, although fine magic cards, they don't do anything for this commander.
Right.
So it's like a 5-color deck that like actively encourages you to try something other than the best card from each monocolor.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I feel like artifacts usually, I think it's really rare to see artifacts in that many colors. I think about the fact that Maria is an extremely strong artifacts card, but it just isn't in a lot of decks because so few artifact decks contain both red and green.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Obviously, it doesn't work with the robot tokens, but it works with any other artifacts you might have in this sort of deck. And if you build kind of an artifact adjacent deck, that could be kind of an interesting way to go with this.
By the way, Teriel players, here you go. There's your new commander, Infinite Guideline Station. Angels are huge. You can crew this thing easily.
That's actually true. You could build 5-color angels with this and play all your multicolored angels.
Do we want to move on to the question zone then?
Yeah, unless anybody had any more examples that are so pressing.
I barely had one to begin with.
That is awesome. Moving on to the Beseech the Mirror question. This is where you beseech us for answers. And if you want to beseech us, all you have to do is put mirror in your comment here on YouTube or on Spotify, or you can at us on socials, links below, and we will get to your question on the podcast if we like the question, or if it's reasonable to answer on the podcast. Try and keep that in mind. Okay, on Spotify, Rukal the God asks, Mirror, I take all the sorceries out of my deck and replace them with planeswalkers to ask, how do you each feel about combos that involve a heavy deck building cost? I'm currently finishing tweaking a bracket 3 deck with 49 creatures with mana value 5 or greater to combo with Monstrous Vorinclex as a finisher. I'm wondering if the deck building cost is a sufficient downside for my combo to hang in bracket 3. Should I disclose my combo before we sit down?
So I think for that combo, it's like, you don't need to disclose combos. That's just, you can say I'm a combo deck, right? And then let the game unfold. That's just up to rule 0 to rule 0 conversation. More importantly though, combos with a heavy cost in the deck building. There's 2 flavors of this. The one you've just described, which is awesome and cool, and I love it, where you've built your entire deck around a combo. Like, even no permanence World Storm Surge has like a bit of a twee sort of thing going on that I kind of enjoy, right? It has a nice aesthetic.
You mean Primal Surge, right?
Primal Surge, yes.
Yeah.
So I don't play it personally, but my friend Russell was really into Primal Surge for a long time. And I don't know, there's something boomer about Primal Surge that I just really appreciate.
Editor of this podcast, Yusuf, has a Primal Surge frog deck with a Grolnox that I built for him as like a budget deck.
No, Primal Surge is awesome. Love that card. Sure, the gameplay of the Primal Surge itself might be boring, but the deck building around it's fun. So I like that kind of heavy deck building cost for a combo. What I hate is heavy deck building cost for a combo translating to I am running bad cards for my combo that don't fit the theme of my deck. So I've seen the number of times I've cut Exquisite Blood Sanguine Bond from my viewers' decks because they have it as a combo in a deck without even life gain in it. Just because it combos. I need a way to win the game. It's like, yeah, here's the thing, man. You're playing Rakdos Dragons. You're going to kill them with dragons, hopefully, right? So like, why are we running Exquisite Blood Sanguine Bond in that deck, right? So whereas I do appreciate the jumping through hoops to make a funny combo work, like making Karuga work. It's like making a companion work. I don't appreciate when you have a combo that's at the cost of your deck that doesn't fit the theme of your deck, versus a combo that defines your deck. That's fine.
So I guess my first thought about this sort of thing, I agree with a lot of what Elk just said. I think, having it feel more cohesive, having it feel like a unit, having it feel like it was carefully crafted and has cards that feel in place, that's all good. However, I will say, for me personally, I would need either a higher bar of how fun the combo is, or a lower bar on how pricey the deck is for me to want to build something like this. You can also proxy it, I guess, if that's free. But just for me, like a deck like that isn't going to be one that I'm going to be playing a whole lot. I might play it half a dozen times and be like, wow, that's kind of fun. But that's not going to be a consistent deck that gets pulled out a lot, simply because it's more fun to build than it is to play. That tends to be the case with all of these like heavy deck building requirement, like carefully crafted, piece of art of a deck. It's a blast and a half to build with this crazy restriction and kind of figure out how to carefully piece all the parts of this deck together. But I personally wouldn't expect to get to play with it a whole lot, wouldn't expect to have fun playing with it a whole lot, wouldn't expect to find a whole lot of games where it feels like what I would want to play. So I would just proceed with that caution, proceed with the idea that this might not be a deck that gets played a lot. This might not be a long-term deck. I built like a super, super heavy requirement Fiend Hunter combo deck a while back. It was like a year ago. That deck is funny. I'll pull it out occasionally, but like it's almost never what I want to be playing just because.
It reminds me a lot of Archelaus too, your Gates deck.
Yeah, it's a similar idea there. Yeah. That deck was like a little bit better put together. So at least that deck kind of functioned smoothly, but it was still like, the building was much more fun than the gameplay itself was. It was kind of just like a, generic-ish combo control deck in practice.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like a backup plan for sure. Like maybe a lot of these creatures self-discount, right? Like I can't think of a bunch of good ones off the top of my head for your color combo, right? But like, yes, this might be a 6 mana value creature, but actuality, it costs 2 mana to cast, right? Something like that.
Sure.
I think these types of decks are fun deck building challenges, like Alex said, but I have to agree with Alex. They are often one-trick ponies. Now, there's ways around that, right? Like if you build a Primal Surge deck, and yes, you have a Primal Surge combo in there, but you actually have like a legitimate plan A where you attack and like, win with like creature damage or whatever. Maybe it's not quite a one-trick pony because you're like, oh, I attack with my creatures. If I get board wiped too many times, late game, here's my Primal Surge backup. I think that can be interesting. That can be a really fun deck. But if you're all in on some goofy combo and your whole deck is warped around it, you just have to realize that like any game you win will be the same, which is, fine. There's a lot of cool, interesting decks that come from this. I feel like Cody Tutors for Nas, the CDH list, that's, I guess, fallen off now, is a kind of deck like that where it's very skewed in a specific way. I think they're cool, but you just have to be down for that type of deck.
I mean, my Kellen deck is hyper built around melding Brazella every game, and it does it every game.
But that doesn't always instantly win the game.
That is true, yeah. I feel like, the critique that like, oh, these decks are one-trick ponies are true for the most part, especially if the deck is like rather like single-mindedly constructed. But it kind of neglects the fact that your opponents are a very harmful stimuli that change from game to game, right? So how you navigate your combo line is going to be different from game to game, even though if your opponents may not necessarily see your like navigation because it's all happening in hand, right?
It definitely depends on the combo to some extent. Like I know with my Archelaus deck, it was kind of very simple. I find one card, cast one card with my commander and play, bing bada boom, that's the combo. I think it's pretty similar with, Primal Surge. Like you find one card and then, everything else is just based on the deck construction. There are definitely combos that are a lot more interesting though. Ones that require more pieces, ones that aren't like linear or absolute, like they have some like numerical value to them that's not set,
or just like a storm line or something.
Yeah, something that's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have a guaranteed win with it. You have to like kind of pace out the situation a little bit. I think there can be various factors that make a combo deck more interesting, but yeah, I would just be careful with a deck that seems really cool in the deck building process, that it's also kind of fun in practice.
A lot of people just want advice on their deck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm building this specific thing. I need like 15 more cards, please.
Give me $35 Sunday or Tuesday on my deck review streams.
This question is, what do you think about the battle card type? Do you have any thoughts about it?
It exists. Next question.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't hate it that much.
It okay. That was from CJGJ. They sack a token, a 3/3 elk token.
Oh, now I hate them.
What do we think about battles? Oh, so now we hate battles. Okay. Looks like our opinion on battles fluctuates heavily. This next question comes from Cario HUH. Maybe that's huh. Anyway, they just said mirror, mirror, favorite Gooner card.
With like the 17 question marks at the end.
Yeah.
Shout out to my unnamed friend whose favorite card is Archpriest of Shadows.
Archpriest of Shadows?
Yeah, I gotta agree with him. She's a baddie.
I don't think I even know this card.
It's one of the backup cards from Mom.
Okay.
I didn't know the Cabal was hiring fine ladies like that.
I'm gonna say Nin the Pain Artist.
Favorite Gooner card, the one that wants to like rip my skin off.
That's a classic commander card.
Nin. Type revealed, I guess. Damn.
Someone made an alt art of Trinket with Nin. Where is it?
Dude, she wants to stick you in the marrow furnace, dude. I do agree that Nin is a Gooner card, though. If you have a Nin deck, you are not normal.
Alex, any?
I gotta go with Carter Doomscourge. Look at that beard. What that beard do?
Oh, hell yeah.
Based. Oh my god. Yes. No, I agree. The demons on Call Time can kind of get it.
For real.
And then we'll have Yusuf put his favorite.
Dude, I can rage bait the audience so hard right now. I can tell you like my problematic fave right now.
It's the end of the podcast. If you want it in the podcast, you just let me know.
Well, I mean, it's Carnage Interpreter.
What? Carnage in.
I know what the card does. I don't know what the art is.
He's got like a little fedora on. It's really cute. He's got thick thighs, dude. Look at him. He's built.
Got the tongue out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's buff, dude. What does the tongue do? People are like, what about lips, man? He doesn't have any lips. I'm like, I don't care.
The fedora is crazy.
Dude, he has handlebars.